G'day guys, and welcome to another Factorio Friday Facts discussion, number 223 rather, animated water, and I'm joined by Bombug, as always.
Hello, how's everyone doing tonight?
Hopefully everyone had a good holiday, whoever celebrates it. And,
Oh, I know I'm stuffed. I don't know about you.
oh, I'm stuffed, yeah. I had so much, oh my goodness.
I think a successful Thanksgiving for me is when there is a greater variety of pie than the already plethora of food available just for the dinner itself.
Yeah, that's usually a pretty good setup to have there, uh, for sure. The desserts are the best. Mm.
Hmm.
Um, so we are getting water animation. What's going to happen in this video is I'm going to read this concept section. I'm going to summarize a little bit of this first part of technical art, and then Bombug, you can summarize whatever you would like to on the rest of this. It's extremely technical, very, very wordy, um, and yeah, we're not going to read it word for word, this technical part, because if you want to know every technical aspect, then you can definitely, go read that part on your own.
Yeah, anyone interested in game development will probably have some serious, interesting topics pulled from this one. There's a lot of good algorithms that are used kind of across the industry for a lot of things, everything from animation to map generation, and they go over that a little bit here. Uh, and I think if you're into that stuff, you should definitely give this one a thorough read.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so starting off, basically since the very beginning of the project, we have focused a lot in the side of the factory, providing better designs for machines and expressive animations that give a sense of life and credibility to this area. We put a lot of effort also into the environment side, adding different tile sizes, improving textures, adding doodads, cliffs, trees, decals, and constantly improving the map generation for a better feeling. But basically, apart from biters in the factory, nothing else moves. So the environment is nice to look at, but somehow unreal due to the lack of motion, which I would completely agree with. I've always kind of been not super sold on the environment. It has gotten a lot better, though, to the devs' credit. Um,
Yeah,
so,
especially with all the color reworking that they're doing, it's kind of
oh
giving
yeah,
it a more how would you say it, more standardized feel to where things don't just look out of place like they have in the past.
yes, definitely. Um, so today they proudly present the first experiment in this area, animated water, which so many people like over the months and years in the Reddit and on the forums and stuff and on videos have commented asking for like animated water of some sort. And finally, it's being worked on. So the animation doesn't try to grab your attention, it's just there, slowly moving. I personally bet that this animation with the proper sound design will provide the natural feeling that the planet needs. So if we scroll down, here is our water. It's very, I can see it better here. Initially, I read this on mobile and I literally didn't see a difference at all because the thing was tiny. But on the computer, it is noticeable, but it's not very much at all. Uh,
Yeah, not too distracting. It's good.
yeah, but it does provide, like it says, it does provide that nice kind of natural feeling. You can kind of see it when it moves. With it moving all those shadows, you can really tell it's moving. And if you look at like the banks here of the land, you can kind of see the frothing and stuff, which is really really nice. I do like it.
Yeah, I think this is a nice upgrade. I notice, interestingly, it seems like the shadow of the tree isn't really affected. Do you see any movement on the shadow of the tree?
Uh, this is very slightly like I have to super focus, and it's still even really really hard for me to see.
And then same for the shadow of the oil factory there, the
Yeah,
refining factory.
yeah, it's very very difficult to actually see. Um, but it's still an improvement for sure. Uh, so now technical art. Animation's always been one of the most powerful creative tools they have. It's how we communicate with our audience about functionality. It creates interest in emotions people like. So basically, they want to talk about the presentation. And stuff. Some of you with an eye for detail might have noticed that water in Factorio is static. It has foam, which is static. There are also some static reflections due to the fact that making animated water was considered polishing. We never took the time to make an actual solution. But now they're polishing the game. Christmas of 2018, I decided to gift myself with solving water animation in secret. Based on past conversation with Albert, the goal for it was clear. It had to look similar to the current water. Photorealism was a no-no or it had to be super cheap for the GPU, which definitely, is good. That doesn't really help if it's like bogging down your GPU just to animate a little bit of water.
Yeah, for sure. This game is all about keeping your UPS high.
Yeah, exactly. So in the past, I was experimenting with this cheap cloud shader. It used fractal Brownian motion and only sampled a noise texture instead of the usual approach of calculating Perlin noise. With a low iteration count, it was almost as cheap as drawing a sprite, which is pretty cheap. As I started Monogame, lovely framework, and implemented a tile-based world using the same technique for the shader, the only difference being I clamped noise values to simulate brighter and darker areas. For the noise I used are water sprite. So on the left is original, middle's noise, and on the right is clamped. You can see a difference, obviously. And then going down, to save GPU power, water was drawn the same as tiles, one after another. Position was easy to solve. Also, I simply used UV coordinates to represent the game world position with some trial and error. Water is created with a moving effect. So this is like obviously way more movement than the GIF shown above at the beginning. Which I would say this obviously would be too much movement. This looks like a river, basically.
Mm-hmm. A river that's going straight through the land, too.
Yeah.
Feels a little unnatural, but I mean, the idea was just a technical demo, right? So.
Mm-hmm. So at the beginning of 2019, he pitched the prototype to the team. Sadly, it wasn't really well accepted, mostly because of the movement. But he sat down with Albert and talked tweaks and values to more appealing ones. After that, they basically forgot about it. Half a year passed and the solution was back on the table. I only had to solve reflections, foam, transparency, out-of-map transitions, and some other stuff. Oh yeah, just only those like 6 things.
Yeah, just easy stuff. Anybody could do it.
Yeah. So solving reflection, all that. Using a render target to save information for water shader. A render target is just a texture on which you can draw. Using 3 channels RGB, I'm able to save 3 kinds of information: red for reflections, green for transparency, and blue for foam. All drawing is additive to account for multiple tiles, drawing on top of each other. This way we are able to add information not only for shore, but also for entities. And then this last little paragraph here, you can see here on the picture the kind of red and then like bluish and like green down here represent what he's showing. For out of map, we updated our jelly feeling with waves on top. Basically, we left the old graphics on the bottom and added animated water on top. For cutting, masking out water where we want, I used another shader that generated green waves in the water render target. Now, some of you might ask, why do we not use a waterfall? I mean, it would look nice having a waterfall to this pitch black hole of nothing. The reason is waterfall was the first thing we tried and concluded the jelly looks better and cleaner.
Water jelly. Delicious.
Looks real good.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. So, how often would a player see that in game, though?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
I'm not really sure.
I don't
too many scenarios.
Yeah, I can't really think of many either.
I guess it would be if you're looking through radar, and you're looking at the very, very edge of your radar generated chunk while it's live. Then yeah, you would see that, right? That makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. So that's basically the section. And then Bombug, you can go ahead and summarize whatever you'd like of this to whatever extent or not, because I'm not reading this. I tried reading it once and gave up.
Yeah, so this next section is primarily it's about integrating it into the game, optimizing it, and then the third little section talks about what you can do modding wise with it. So let's see here what's particularly important. So They do not want to do animations constantly, and they focused on reusing the animations. An issue that comes up with this and other animations is whenever you move the camera or whenever you resize the screen by zooming in and out,
Hmm.
your animations are basically tossed out because now it needs to generate new animations at a different scale, right?
Right. Yeah.
So in this, they talk a little bit about the game's main loop. There being three stages: the update stage, where the game progresses one tick forward; the prepare render step, where it collects all the data needed to render the current view; and then the render stage, where it uses the data collected to issue commands to your graphics card. And the game update and the render can be done parallel, just running at the same time, but
Hmm.
neither of them can run while the prepare render does. And this particular water animation, the way they were looking at it, took a lot of time on that prepare render. So they wanted to cut that out a little bit. And the way they solved this was, let's see here. Uh, Instead of caching the finished terrain render in a texture, they cache the data resulting from the prepare render. And normally they draw the orders per chunk, right?
Hmm.
And they want to prepare render on chunks that have entered the player view only. Uh, and that way they save on cache because they don't want to be preparing animations for chunks that aren't even in your view, right?
Right.
So with these changes that they've made, they've actually kind of improved their, what would you call it? They've kind of set up for future optimizations, not just for this animation, but they can start caching tile draw orders that are likely to enter view in advance and spread that work over multiple ticks. Or they can generate tile draw orders for each chunk in parallel as they are independent of each other now. So it makes it pretty cheap for them. Uh, and to make it even cheaper for players with weak hardware, they let you turn that animation off.
Wait.
And let's see what they said. They are going to be using the render. They're going to be rendering the water using the new effects. But if you disable the animation, it will render frozen in time and will be cached to the off-screen buffer, which is a cheap place to store it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of good for everybody involved.
It's really nice, and that's like one of the many really nice things about Factorio is they allow you to tweak so many settings. Like turning HD graphics on and off, turning off the animation thing. In terms of how high VRAM usage and stuff you want to use, to really make it possible for anyone from a insane like thousands of dollars computer to run it to someone with just a complete potato to be able to run the game.
That is very important. I know a lot of people like to play this on their little laptops while they're sitting at the airport or anything.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it's super nice for that. Uh,
Awesome. Then the final section there, they say that you might get excited about the possibilities for modding, but don't get excited just yet. The system has been set up making it possible to define different tile effects, but at the moment it is limited to allow just the one which is used on their water effect right now. They plan to lift this restriction in the near future, but in the end you'll be limited to only changing the properties of the effect they made. That still might be interesting enough due to the ability to change the noise texture used. There's still no plan to support custom shader definitions before 1.0. So be thinking about what kind of mods you want to make for this, but don't start work on them yet because it is restricted to just this one.
yeah. So, um, but even the ability to do change the noise texture could yield some interesting stuff.
Yeah. And if you scroll up a little bit to that triple picture section, the original noise clamped, you can see how much difference the texture makes on the actual tile that's going to be animated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, so that is pretty much it. Very, very technical. Um, the majority of this went over my head in this last section, but it is really cool that they do provide this technical side of things for those who are interested. And animated water is just awesome. I saw a ton of comments on the forum and Reddit thread for this that people say it looks nice, but it looks really weird now because nothing else is animated. So everyone is asking and hoping for like animated like trees, like they kind of sway back and forth in the wind or something,
Hmm.
which
That would be good.
I think would be really good because I can imagine this does look pretty weird up again. I mean, you can basically see here. This does look pretty weird against an absolutely solid, like static, non-moving tree. Um,
Yeah.
it does look kind of odd.
Yeah, the idea behind these animations is not to distract you from your factory.
Hmm.
That's why they reduce the motion in the original demo. And so having it still be the only animated thing may attract a little bit too much attention, even
Yeah,
if it's not moving a lot.
that's a very good point. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that is gonna do it. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Just for those interested in game development or animation, they, in this demo, used browning motion with some noise texture. That's a kind of common algorithm used to generate sort of random feeling effects, which nature is kind of all about.
Hmm.
The other one that they mentioned was Perlin Noise, which is the normal one. That's probably what I would have used if I'd done this because it's just so common and easy to use.
Yeah.
That is used in just about everything. So if you are interested in Minecraft, well, the worlds are generated with Perlin Noise, if I remember right. And you can see examples all over game dev of Perlin Noise being used in Minecraft and Terraria and generating textures on grounds and everything. So go take a look at that, study up on a little bit of Perlin Noise would probably be your easiest bet, and then come back and reread this later down the line once you've used it for your own projects and get a little more appreciation of it. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be pretty cool. So much to learn. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're excited for animated water and hopefully more stuff in the future. And leave your thoughts below on the Reddit and forum posts. And until next time, we will see you later.
Catch you later.